Representative Leo Pacheco is a lifelong resident of San Antonio's Southside. His family roots date back to the Missions and Canary Island settlers. He is married to his wonderful wife, Melva, of 40 years. They've been blessed with 2 sons and 2 grandchildren. Family, faith, neighborhood, education, and hard work provide the bedrock of Leo's success.
Our show is committed to inform the community of recent significant events and topics of mental health and public policy. We are also committed to engage and empower those who witness injustices to be proactive, and you can make a difference. Hello, everybody. This is Sandragrace from the Amplified Life. Thank you for joining us today as we have a great discussion with a very great man. His name is Leo Pacheco. He is our state representative here in Texas. Welcome, Representative Leo Pacheco. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.
So in reading your biography, I see that you are a native San Antonian.
Yes, I am. 10 generations.
And you represent what side of San Antonio mostly?
It's a very unusual district. It's primarily South San Antonio, South Central San Antonio, the Harlandale Independent School District, parts of San Antonio Independent School District. Then it takes in the Southside Independent School District all the way to the border, along with Somerset School District. And then it gets a small tail. I call it a tail. It goes right through Bronick Lake, Calaveras Lake, and follows the county line, Loop 1604, all the way to Randolph Brooks, Converse, parts of Converse, Texas, the north part of Universal City and Selma, and then it comes over. It's a gerrymandered district. It takes in a lot of different areas. So it's kind of like a crescent moon, that gets skinny at one point, but the majority of the district is the south side of San Antonio.
Get a glimpse of the map, and we'll post it for those who want to know what side of San Antonio you represent. And I do remember that tail spinning up, and I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah,
it does. Well, I bring in people of all walks of life. And you are the first politician, a political figure to accept my invitation. And for that, I am so very grateful. And the overarching concern for me has always been mental health and how it ties in to our daily life. And I find it's a common thread in the criminal justice system, the juvenile justice system. And so I love asking these questions that I'm about to ask you. And there's no right or wrong answer, but I certainly do want to know what you believe as it pertains to these specific mental wellness questions.
Okay.
And so the first question, Representative Pacheco, is how do you define mental wellness?
Mental wellness for me is when somebody gets up in the morning and they're ready to challenge the day, ready to go to work, have that sense of contributing to society, not afraid of the world, and also knowing that if things go wrong, right, in life, but things can be fixed. Things that may seem broken for some, it's not really a big deal to others. And so it's important for mental health people to be, I always use this word, placido, tranquilo. If the safe, and I do say this at work, if the safe fell off the second floor building and it almost hit you, well, it didn't hit you, move on and figure out how to help out and do what needs to be done to correct the situation. I can remember this story, or it's not a story, it actually did happen. at St. Leo Catholic School in the Southside. I was, I believe, fifth or sixth grade, and some people, kids, must have got into the school and vandaled, and they overturned the desk and threw the erasers everywhere, and I mean, just messed up the whole thing. And I remember the nuns were like, at first we were all upset, and then the nuns, they clapped their hands real hard, to get everybody's attention. They said, no, she said, if you talk about it and everything, well, then they won. She said that she used to teach in Chicago, and it happened almost once a week where somebody would get into the school, and she said that the kids that she taught would walk into the classroom and just start cleaning up and get ready for class without even saying anything. And so it was like a mindset. And so when I went to Catholic school at St. Leo Catholic School here on the South Side, I learned that whatever happens, sometimes just let's fix it, move on. If it's not fixable, well, sometimes it's not fixable, but you make a big fuss about it. And so that's part of the mental health. But I think mental health, it can be challenging sometimes. And sometimes I even can feel sometimes depression coming up, because when you're getting pulled, especially as a politician, you can get pulled so many different ways. Everybody's tugging at you. My Social Security check didn't come in, my unemployment, they're now wanting me to pay back the money. I mean, these are daily things that we run across. And so I have to remind myself, and as part of my mental health, is that you're okay. You're doing okay. And sometimes when you feel a depression coming along, sometimes people don't realize that there's really nothing wrong in your life. It's chemical. There's some chemical imbalances. And so it's very important for people to know and understand that if they're feeling the blues or they're feeling depressed, they need to sit there and ask themselves, why? What has happened in my life? And at that point, most of us, 9 out of 10, are going to say nothing. It's the same as it was yesterday. I was happy yesterday. Why do I have the blues today? And you have to be ready. And people sometimes will get shocked when they go, what? You feel depression? I say, yeah, I feel depression every now and then. But guess what? I snap out of it very fast, because I do ask myself that question. Well, what's wrong? Well, what's different from today than it was yesterday? And I said, it's just a chemical imbalance. Maybe I'm a little bit stressed out. And so for me, that's how I do my best to take care of my mental health.
It sounds like your personal constitution is to see a glass half full.
Yes.
And I love, your example of a safe falling, but it didn't hit you. What are you going to do at that point? Do you dwell on something? And for some people, it's a lot more challenging than others. However, I understand the level of stress that our legislators are they're still in that.
Right.
It's not over yet. It starts when you are sworn in. And so I'm glad that you are sharing that depression is real and breaking the stigma. And not very many men actually even say it because, or want to share depression or anxiety issues because of the cultural stigma as well. It could be a cultural issue, religious issue, or just the stigma that I'm a man and I should, these shoulds, I should not feel this way. And so I am so glad that you brought that up, because that has been brought up in the past, that there is a stigma because no one wants to say the D word.
Yeah, that's true. And for me, the minute I analyze, I guess it's called self-awareness, self-analyzation, it goes away. I mean, as I self-analyze, I says, what's wrong? There's nothing,
I love that.
Go work in the garage, or, cut the grass or do something,
There you go. It's called a coping skill. I love it.
Yeah, it goes away, and go outside.
Cut your own grass, Representative Pacheco?
Yeah. The grass was bad when I came home from the session, all the rains and stuff. But,
Yes.
Yeah. And so not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I cut the grass and I regretted it because I'm still sore. And I still live in the same house I bought in 1980. So it's just
Wonderful.
constantly fixing it up. I just never wanted to move away from the neighborhood. I'm even within like 3 miles from where I was raised. I'm still in the same neighborhood, so to speak. Pero es mi barrio. And I go to church and I know everybody. I go to HEB on Military Drive in Pleasanton Road. And, sometimes I go in there just for a few things and it takes an hour for me to get out of there because people are talking to me, but I'm just as guilty. I'm platicando and just talking and talking and, and people they see me and they want to talk to me and tell me, hey, we need this law, we need that. And yeah, so if you're not there for the people, then don't do it.
I attest to that because you always smiled at me. And when I was at the legislative, during this last legislative session, for you to look up and be mindful of people around and to smile. And that was every time I bumped into you. And I didn't want to introduce myself because I knew you looked like you were on a mission, but you would always say hello and tip. It was just something about your body that was very inviting. Like, you're okay to reach out to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way because, sometimes you're in the hallways and you can't even tell who the state reps are because they're not even looking up or they're not even saying hello to me, and you see them on the House floor and they're okay. But in the hallways, they're in
the zone.
Sad.
Yeah. Oh, so I just, I applaud you.
Thank you.
The second question that I have for you is, in your opinion, what do you believe hinders someone's ability to seek mental wellness or mental health care?
Sometimes not admitting it, that they have depression. It's natural. Now, I can remember one time my father-in-law passed away. I just graduated from undergraduate school and I'm at work and all of a sudden my heart just starts pounding, and my blood pressure went up and, it was crazy, but it just took me calming down. And yeah, they did take me to the emergency room just in case, our benefits person at where I'm in human resources. And so, but sometimes people just don't want to admit. And sometimes in our culture, in Hispanic culture, everybody will say, just drink a beer or just drink a glass of wine and you'll be fine, or get off the couch. And, but sometimes people just need coping skills when it does come on. They should visit a professional and learn what those coping skills are and how to come out of it. And, hopefully sometimes, the majority of the time, that people don't need medicine if they learn how to do it naturally. And I feel that, thank God up until now that I've accomplished that. And it doesn't happen that often, I think, because I'm very self-aware. And when I look at my life, and I was the barefooted kid on Commercial in Stonewall, which is very part of the area that I still live in, very poor area. And I see that I have my master's degree. I've taught as an adjunct professor, and I'm now a member of the state legislature. I'm like, come on, what do you got to be depressed about? And that's when I realized, sometimes it's just a lot of commotion going on and your chemical imbalance. And you just got to remind yourself of where you're at now, where have you come from? And things can, that's how I cope. And I would hope that a lot of times people don't have those coping mechanisms, or they've never really been taught. And once I learned that mechanism, I'm okay. And, but unfortunately, people not seeking help, it's a shame, because quite frankly, the quicker they get help, the quicker they're going to get better. And sometimes they'll find out like I did, that it's nothing, it's life is life, and just calm down, relax. And it's kind of like that old saying from the what's the serenity prayer? you
Mm-hmm.
know Grant me the ability to change things I can, and what you can't. I mean, I sat on the house floor and it was the worst. I mean, this was only my second session. It was horrible. I mean, I'm going to say it. The racist bills they were passing, unbelievable. And I am a conservative Democrat. They call me, I'm a blue dog Democrat, and I'm also libertarian leaning. Libertarians were very let people live and let live. And, we don't need all these laws. And so in some instances, I'm even more conservative than some of the Republicans on the House floor. And when I saw what they were doing and the House, oh my God. And so it must have been around mid-March, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm going to continue to fight for the people back home and help in my own way, but I'm getting a little off subject there. But why people don't seek out help, I think, as we discussed earlier, it's a stigma. It's a stigma, and people need to change. And maybe even if I help one or two people watching this and see that, it happens. Depression is a natural thing. I can remember growing up and my mom saying, "Oh, I've got the blues." They wouldn't say the word depression, but she had the blues. And well, of course, she needed to have the blues. She had 9 kids in the house to take care of. Well, who wouldn't get the blues every now and then? My goodness, God bless her. We never went to bed hungry, but we weren't raised, especially in our culture, we weren't raised with the D word, and then sometimes, unfortunately, our culture will make fun of somebody that will use the D word. Oh, I need a little help and I need to go see somebody. ¿Pa qué?
¿Para qué?
I'm sure, yeah.
Right. Why would you want to do that? And it's so true. I mean, what I hear you saying is that coping skills, healthy coping skills
Right.
will, can, help snap you out of it.
Right.
And people sometimes lack those healthy coping skills. And you're right. Sometimes they are able to, carve that journey through a professional, but they can
Right.
also go to their local church, or a very solid support
Yeah.
system that you can trust will give you the right advice and, will check up on you. I love great support systems and the ones that you can trust, of course. And what I also hear you saying is to admit out loud, even to God, to help you
Right.
to find that much needed help you need. So that is your response to that is, in my very opinion, very genuine. So thank you.
Thank you. It's like nobody will admit that people get depressed every now and then. It happens. And people just won't admit it. And it's bad. And I wish.
It is not a weakness. It is coming
No.
from a place of strength.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, my last question to you is, and I think you've already answered it, but maybe we can tailor it. When you find yourself entering into that negative state or frame of mind, what do you do to pull yourself out of it?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Because in the middle of the session, I got criticized for one of my votes and censured by the Democratic Party, of which I used to be the head of the Democratic Party in Bexar County. I'm as Democrat as you can get, yet not understanding the legislative process. And this was on the constitutional carry. I voted yes in the opening round. But what they don't understand is that I was still negotiating with the author and other Republicans to try to make the bill more palatable for everybody. And in the end, see, there's 3 votes. There's the first vote on the House floor. There's a committee vote before it gets to the floor. And then they call it second reading. There's that vote. And I voted yes. But then in third reading, where it gets voted out and off to the Senate, it's called the third reading. I voted no, because I saw that they did not they took out the amendments that were supposed to make the bill better. And so at that point, I said, no, I'm a no. But they focused on the original vote and censured me. And so I went into, the first time when they did it, I went into, it's hard when people criticize you, the depression can kick in, All the work I have done, I filed a bill that would bring 5 bachelor degree programs for all community colleges statewide. That's a great thing at an affordable junior college tuition rate. And the other one, I had a bill that we've been working on for 2 years, and it's probation reform. It was the only probation reform bill that we got out of the House floor to the Senate, passed off the Senate floor and onto the governor's desk. He's got until this week to sign it. He hasn't signed it yet. That's going to make me depressed after all the work of 2 years worth of work. And this will allow a judge to terminate early, give them early probation and say, you know what, you've done good, you're out. Because the longer we keep somebody on probation, the more chance of them messing up and going back to jail. And that's not what we want. We want to rehabilitate. It also will give the judge the right to say, okay, you can't afford the fees, the probation fees. They got to pay like $50 a week. And it's quite obvious they're not working. Where are they going to get the money? The judge will have the ability to say, yes, I can see that you don't have a job. We're not going to charge you the fees. We're going to waive the fees, or maybe give you some community service to work off the fees.
Yes,
and this is a bill that it's 12 pages long. And I can imagine I'm going to go into a tailspin if after all that. So here I am doing all these good bills. And then for one vote, I wasn't even the author of the bill. For one vote, I get criticized and censured by my own party. And I'm like, wow, thanks a lot. I already have Republicans I have to fight against, but now I have to fight against my own local party. It could have given me some depression, but I decided, nah, I'm too busy working. I got other things to do. And so
I read that, and it's interesting because the narrative that I read is very different than the narrative that you just presented. And so I'm glad that you said that this is what you did and those amendments and how you voted. And that clarifies a lot. And on another segment, when I'm discussing the bills that have been right now, as you said, are being held, and I personally, I think a lot of the bills right now that are sitting in the governor's desk are just gathering dust. And I just look at I'm a realist, an idealist, and I see that perhaps some of these bills that our legislators in the Bexar County delegation work so hard to get to that desk may not get.
And I don't know if you ever heard the Leroy Jenkins theory.
No.
Well,
Do share.
Look it up at YouTube. Leroy Jenkins. He's the one that charges head on without the team. Well, the Friday night, the walkout on Sunday night?
Yes, sir.
At 9:30 at night or 10:30? I walked out on Friday evening to break quorum. I was the first one to walk out and says, I'm not coming back. It was Friday night, and I said, I got my last bill, House Bill 385, the probation reform bill, because they had put a couple of amendments, so we had to have one more vote before it goes to the governor. And I got it voted off to the governor. And at this point, so I come back home for some business that I needed to take care of, and I get a call from my desk mate, Jarvis Johnson, and he says, hey, if 51 of us don't show up, we'll break quorum and they can't vote in that ugly Senate Bill 7 voting bill. And I said, okay, take my key. I'm game. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And it reminded me of the old days when we used to do protest marches, sit-ins, walkouts, and all that. And I said, hey, they got 83 votes. But if there's 51 of us, there's 67 Democrats. If 51 Democrats walk out, and I said, I'm number one, let's get another 50. So they says, nah, you weren't the first. I go, yeah, I was. was.
That's good to know. I am
Yeah.
so glad you brought that up. This changes the entire narrative that I'm reading, online. And
Yeah.
wow, thank
They
you.
brand me as an anti-democratic, and I'm not. I'm not. I used to be the party chair, in fact.
I'm honored that you're on my show and you clarified so many things that a
Yeah.
narrative, several narratives had out there.
Mhm.
And this is definitely something that I'm gonna underscore on the show,
Yeah.
and clarify, because you are, in my opinion, one of the um, most authentic and genuine legislators. Thank you so much, family and friends, for tuning in. And as I always say, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all.